women veterans for the year 2023. We now have a new radio station, Beltway Radio and Beyond. So I got to get that right. Beltway Radio and Beyond. And tonight we'll be discussing the challenges and opportunities of transitioning from military to civilian life. So I am so happy and grateful that you're here to join me tonight. And each week we'll be building off of this, or sorry, not each week, bi-weekly. So every other Monday we'll be building off of these topics, giving you some tips and tools so you can successfully transition from military into civilian life. So whether you're a service member or someone who's supporting military members as they're transitioning through this process, this conversation will be helpful. So make sure that you listen in, take some notes, and keep replaying so you can continue to get the tips. So one of the biggest challenges of transitioning from the military is the sudden loss of structure and support. So, when you're in the military, you got your comrades, you have your people all around you, you have your chain of command, and pretty much on the 1st and the 15th, you are going to get that check. So many people have a really difficult time adjusting to that change of, guess what, that check may come once a month, that check may not come at all for a couple of months or a couple of years while you're transitioning. So properly planning and thinking about what are you going to do in that situation, and are you prepared? Also, the support that we receive as service members, meaning you have your comrades, you have your military family, you have your uniform that you're putting on each day, so you know exactly what you're going to do, where you're going to be each day. Sometimes people have a hard time, many veterans have a hard time adjusting when we don't have that support, we don't have that structure, we don't have that same day-to-day environment that we have to deal with. Military life, highly organized. Most would probably call us anal retentive because, again, we know old dark 30, we got to be up. We have clear rules, clear expectations. We got systems in place. Everything is in order to include housing, healthcare. Once we leave that military, we feel adrift. Sometimes you feel alone. Sometimes you feel like, where do I find the support in the environments? So let's get into that. The first things first, please use your VA. The VA has all types of support groups. It has programs for most veterans, especially if you file that disability claim. So make sure you file that disability claim before you get out. You have access to free medical health care from the VA hospital. For women, a lot of times we have this stigma, right? Some women get out and they say, I want nothing to do with the military. I want nothing to do with the VA. Please reconsider. The VA has really transitioned and made an effort to be more accommodating to women. They've provided with the groups, instead of just having the mixed groups with men and women, they have women-only PTSD groups, or women-only military sexual trauma groups, or women-only grief groups, things to cater to us. They also have the women's clinic where you can go in and get all your women care needs done in a private women's clinic away from the main hospital. And for me, I know that support has really been beneficial, specifically with the groups, PTSD, MST, having the groups, knowing that you're not alone, having that sisterhood is extremely beneficial. Also, outside of the VA, you can just look up, Google veteran support groups, veteran organizations. I know when I first got out, one group that I associated with was Women's Veterans Interactive. Ginger Miller, she's the president and CEO of that organization, and it felt good to just be around women that looked like me, that supported me, that have been through the same experiences as me, and to build that sisterhood and relationships. Google, look for those groups. Go on Facebook, look for Facebook groups, like different military groups on Facebook where you can bond and connect with your sisters. You do not have to feel alone, and it's understandable. You're leaving a village, but now it's that new opportunity as you're transitioning from the military to create that next village. Another challenge of transitioning military is the difficulty in finding a job. Now, I am a certified career coach, so you can always contact me, book a consultation with me so we can talk through it. But I highly recommend, outside of TAPS, the traditional transition assistance program that every military member is entitled to as you transition from the military, consider getting a career coach. Consider reaching out to different mentors. And also think about your network. I always say your network directly impacts your net worth. So think about who in your network can possibly connect you to that next career opportunity or connect you to the right person to talk to get you in the door for that next job. Also, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an asset. You can find anybody on LinkedIn. You just think about what job you want, what company you want to work for, what organization you want to work for, what industry you want to work for, and look it up on LinkedIn. I can promise you, someone from that company is on LinkedIn, and all you have to do is inbox them, and they will connect with you. And I say, worst case scenario, they ignore your inbox. Best case scenario, they actually are receptive to you and talk to you, and you can set up an informational interview with them to just talk and connect to see what type of skills you need for that particular position, or if maybe they'll take your resume and shop it around, or if they'll hire you directly on the spot. So that is how you can use your network to increase your net worth and land that job and overcome one of the biggest challenges that we have as military veterans in finding the job. I also want to point out your next job may not be your last job. So many times I think as military veterans, maybe you're the provider, maybe you have like a lot on your shoulders, so you feel like I have to jump in and get that next job. So you just rush into that first job, the first offer that's given to you. And guess what? You might get into that job and say, oh no, this is not for me. I need to quit today. That's okay. That's very normal. And maybe you need more time to figure it out. Maybe you need to go back to college and try to figure out and discover a new career. Maybe you need to do some more research and look at different companies, maybe like their values, the culture, what type of benefits does this organization or company have. Those are things to consider before you get out, before you get the job, but also as you're transitioning into the job. Maybe you find it's just not the right fit, so then you can be proactive for your next journey to say, okay, what's the best type of organization? What's the best type of culture? What type of benefits do I really want? What type of work environment do I really want to be in for that next journey? So please don't be afraid. Don't be disappointed in yourself. Be kind to yourself as you pivot from the military into civilian life. I don't think any of us have the blueprint to get it exactly right. So reach out to your community, connect with others, use your network, and really do your research so that way you won't always get it right, but you'll be more likely to get it right for your next journey. Service members also face challenges of adjusting to the civilian pace of life and culture, which can be quite different from the military. Let me tell you something. My personality type was definitely, I think back in the days it was called gold. That was anal retentive. I'm used to things being done. If you tell me to do something, I actually take what you tell me to do and do it, and vice versa. If I direct someone to do something, that was my expectation, that we actually comply and follow through with directions. When you get into the civilian world, that is not always the case. Everybody has freedom. They might actually tell you no, I'm not going to do that, or no, it's not my job. And guess what? You have to deal with it. So when I transitioned from military to civilian, I had to adjust my expectations and I had to learn to meet people at their point of need. So basically, the only person that I can control in my seat, in my civilian position, is me. You may be a supervisor, you may be a team leader. Coming from the military, you might be used to being the NCOIC, the boss, the one that everybody, when you said jump, they jumped. You might be used to being the commander or the chief. But guess what? In the civilian world, it absolutely doesn't matter. So you do have to adjust. Maybe consider taking courses like on LinkedIn Learning or Coursera to learn how to interact, to learn effective communication, to learn how to transition or how to have difficult conversations or how to team build. Because guess what? As you're transitioning, you're probably going to need it. You will need to adjust your expectations. You will need to sometimes adjust your mindset and adapt to your new environment. And that really is a struggle for many military members and service members because we're so used to that structure. And again, reach out to your network and your peers. You can ask them, did you have to go through the same thing? Or how did you deal with it? Because they might have a solution or they may be able to walk you through it. And also going back to coaching, that would be a great opportunity for you to meet with a coach and work on that particular portion in your life of how to adjust to your new civilian work environment. Also, while transitioning from the military can be challenging, it's a great opportunity. Many service members have a wealth of skills and experience that we bring to the civilian workforce: leadership, problem solving, teamwork, adaptability, and these skills are highly valuable. What I do find, because I do the resumes, I do career coaching, is that many times people don't even realize their value or their worth. Think about it. You may have had one job in the military, but did we just have one job? Or did you have multiple jobs? Were you an administrative assistant, but also the NCOIC, so you were in charge of a group of team members. You had to do the performance reports. You had to deal with different personalities. You had to quickly adapt and adjust, especially sometimes when we went to a new duty station and you just had to jump all in to be able to perform your job. So it didn't matter what was thrown at us, we had to adjust and actually move forward. That is a highly valued skill, especially in this innovative environment where we have technology and cybersecurity. Highlight that skill. Say that you're adaptable. On your resume, say you're adaptable. Say you're great at team building. Say you're great at communication and leadership, because you are. So don't just think small in that box where you say, well, I'm just an administrative assistant, or I'm just civil engineering, or I'm just finance, or I'm just an intel analyst. No, you're so much more than that. So when you're looking for jobs and opportunities, think big picture. What all do you bring to the table? What hard skills and soft skills do you bring to the table? What value can you bring to an organization? Because again, most organizations, they want you. They need you in the organization. So you have to walk into that environment knowing that. So if I would say one thing that I want every military veteran woman to know is that not only are you valued, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, you have the expertise to walk into any organization and be a change maker. Also, transitioning from the military can be a chance to pursue new interests and passions. So, just speaking for myself, I was an intel analyst for 14 years of my life in the military. That was my life, intel. But within that intel community, I transitioned into a network analyst. So we transitioned into cybersecurity and technology, which was greatly beneficial to me. When I got out, I actually took a job as a technical writer, because my gift is I can take all that jargon all that language that most people don't understand and put it all together into a written document or into a training plan. So technical writing became my skill. Had I stayed in that box of Intel analyst and just thought, that's all I can do, then I would still be probably in that community doing something that I wasn't necessarily passionate about. So just think about that as you're transitioning from the military. You can use some of your soft skills to possibly transition into a new career, or you can use that 9/11 GI Bill that we all get. So use that money, that tuition assistance, and actually take classes and courses, or figure out a degree that you may desire so you can transition into that new career. We also have a lot of internship opportunities. So now, the service members have the opportunity to do an internship before they get out the military. But you can just look up veteran internships or veteran training programs or veteran transition into career programs and look to see if there's opportunities possibly for you to transition into that new career, whether it's teaching, it could be interior designing. Maybe you want to be an entrepreneur. So the SBA has a lot of great programs. If maybe you're thinking about your business, like starting a new business as a veteran, there's lots of opportunities, lots of money for that and opportunities. Also, you may be thinking, maybe I want to start a franchise. So the military, so actually the family support centers and veteran resource centers, they actually have like programs to teach you about franchise opportunities and how you can get into that. So you don't have to stay stuck. Whatever it is you want to do, you have the capability to do it and be successful at it. And guess what? If you try and fail, just get back up and try again. But this is your opportunity as you're considering and thinking about transitioning out the military to just do something else, do something new, pursue the interests and passions that really drive you. Also, this is the opportunity for you to build a new community of support. So one thing that I got into as I transitioned from the military, I was used to being in all these different private organizations. So I was in AFCEA, I was in the Non-Commissioned Officer Association, I was in Blacks in Government, Federally Employed Women. Some of those organizations transitioned over into my civilian life. But guess what? As you become a veteran, the sky's the limit. So you can think about some communities that you may want to build. It could be career specific. Like AFCEA is basically all about cybersecurity, IT people. So that's a community that you want to connect with if you wanted to get into tech. Maybe Blacks in Government, of course, it's about pushing forward Blacks in Government. So that was an opportunity for me to hone and grow my leadership skills, as well as Federally Employed Women. I think they have a dynamic national training program. So it was a way for me to meet other women throughout the federal government, and not just federal, so federal, state, and local government, to be able to connect with those women and basically build a new community. Plus, they do training, they do mentorship, and you can run for positions. So let's get into that. While you're joining these private organizations, maybe it's a skill that you don't necessarily have in your day-to-day work, but let's say you became the treasurer for federally employed women, and you're responsible for over $1 million in funding and resources and fundraisers and membership drive. Guess what? Now you have that experience and you have that leadership in finance. So sometimes people come to me and they say, well, I don't have experience, or I don't know how I'm going to get experience. You can gain that experience by connecting to these private organizations, by volunteering for nonprofits, private organizations, just getting yourself in the door, and you don't have to be perfect. Most of the time they have training programs for you so you can be good at the position, but also It gives you the opportunity to connect with others. It gives you the opportunity to learn a new skill. It gives you the opportunity to network and possibly grow in not only your career, but also your personal life. Now, when we talk about tips and resources, so if you're a service member preparing for transition from the military, or if you're supporting someone through that process, the one thing, again, I want you to be kind to yourself. Like a lot of times we're hard. Like we think when we get out the military, we have to just hit the ground running and start that new job right away. So I want you to really take a step back and first of all think about your timeline. So if you have a year before you get out the military, you have a year to properly plan. It doesn't mean start applying for jobs tomorrow, but you can really just take all the information I just gave you and think about for your disability claim. What resources do you need? What type of medical information do you have to put together for your disability claim? And who's going to file your disability claim for you? Now, Transition Assistance Program will connect you with the veteran service officers that'll help you file your disability claim. So that's one option. But guess what? You can go to any veteran service officer to help you file your claim. And you also could benefit yourself by getting the information in advance so you can have all of that medical data together. So that way you can be the best advocate for yourself to get the highest disability rating or percentage and be done with that process. So think about that as you're transitioning. So whether you're 1 year out, whether you're 6 months out, 3 months out, or if you're already out, please just think about that, advocate for yourself, and think about filing your disability claim because that's important when we talk about medical insurance and prescriptions, because prescriptions can get kind of pricey. That's the one thing you can do to take care of yourself. And many times as women veterans, we're hesitant to just take care of that portion, to file the disability claim, to get the support from the VA hospital, but that could be your best support. So just put that on your to-do list. Also, as you're talking about like your jobs and your career transition, that's something to consider. So if you're 1 year out, so I'm saying 1 year is just a great time, or let's say 6 months out, you can really start honing in and thinking about, first of all, what type of career, like if I had my dream career, my dream job, what would that look like? And then go from there. So with that, what company would I desire to work for? What's the type of culture that I would prefer to work in? What type of benefits do I value? And what organization meets all of those needs? It doesn't have to be federal government. So many times we'll jump out the military and want to jump right into the federal government. Why wouldn't you want to work for Google? Or one of these companies that gives you unlimited vacation hours. So you don't necessarily have to jump into a federal job. You can consider government contracting, of course, which is still tied to government, but also consider some private sector jobs that may be more aligned with your values, more aligned with some of your needs. Like if you want unlimited vacation time, there may be a company out there that offers unlimited vacation time. Maybe you want a family-friendly organization that offers like childcare, or many of us have like infertility struggles. Well, guess what? There's companies that will pay for your fertility treatments, that will pay for your eggs to be frozen. So why not do that research and just look for that company that is the best fit? That's something that you can do a year out, 6 months out, 3 months out. I'm not going to go any closer to that because I hope that you guys are preparing as you're transitioning, but just do your research, do your homework. So then as you hone in on those specific companies that you want to work for, then you can dive even deeper and say, okay, I've honed in on these top three companies. I know I want to work for Google, I want to work for Facebook, and I want to work for possibly this particular federal government agency. So now I've honed in. So then you can go to your LinkedIn and say, who works for these particular organizations? Like, how can I connect with these organizations? So then you Google, look up those organizations, go to LinkedIn, look up those organizations, see who's connected. And guess what? Connect with them on LinkedIn and see if they'll do those informational interviews with you. So then at your 6-month mark or at your year mark or at your 3-month mark, you've already talked to the people, you already have your in, you already know what's required. So if you do it at your 1-year mark and they say, well, you're a great fit for this job, but you need your PMP certification or you need your HR certification. You have more than enough time to take the courses to do what's necessary in order to prepare for that position. So when you put in your application, you actually land the job. Another thing that I did was I went to a lot of career fairs. Like I went to career fairs, I talked to recruiters. One thing about my story that I always say, and I'm so thankful to An, is that the first person I met, the first recruiter that I met, the first person I gave my resume to actually hired me to my first civilian position and doubled the salary that I requested. So that's a great way to get in the door. You can start that a year out, 6 months out, 3 months out. Go to the job fairs, connect with the recruiters, because guess what? They're your gateway into different jobs and positions. So that's another resource. And you can always connect with them on LinkedIn. Most of the time, we always have our resume. They always say, have your 2-page resume, but also have your LinkedIn. So let's get into that too. Update your LinkedIn profile. So if you are professionally transitioning from the military, just create a LinkedIn profile. Have a professional picture. Not one of your pictures where you're going out, dropping it like it's hot, acting. No. Have a professional picture on your LinkedIn and actually take the time to fill out each portion of your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn provides you recommended jobs. You can connect again to recruiters. You can connect to directors from organizations that you want to work with. You can connect to companies. So LinkedIn is just like your gateway or your tool to get you in the door, get you connected. And guess what? They also have LinkedIn Learning, so you can get the different skills. So maybe there's a position, and maybe you had a question on certain aspects of that position. Go to LinkedIn Learning, learn about those different areas in that position, and it'll make you more eligible to get in the door. So that's a networking tip that I hope will help you to smoothly transition. And then when you're, again, talking about creating your community, it's okay to reach out to people that you serve with, but understand and don't be so hard on yourself. Sometimes the people that you serve with are going to leave you behind. We are all close. We're all connected while we're in the military. But once you get out the military, going back to my first point, you lose that sense of structure. You lose that sense of community. So again, use your Facebook. Use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn also has communities. Use Twitter. Twitter is one we don't talk about a lot, but use Twitter to maybe connect with people, see what people are talking about, get some resources. Facebook is still there, so join those Facebook groups and just connect, because guess what? You're not alone. There are other people out there that really have been through the same thing as you, had the same experiences as you, and that want to connect with you. And again, think about, just look up women veteran organizations. So the VA definitely has some certified ones that they endorse, but there's thousands of military organizations, whether you want a mixed group or women-specific group. Just look it up, connect, and you can go even deeper, because sometimes we want to be around people that look like us. So maybe a Black women's veteran group or Latino women's veteran group or Asian American women's veteran group. You can look up those type of groups and organizations to see if maybe you have a village or community that you can connect with. And sometimes it makes us feel better. I know it's easy to isolate yourself, and I think during COVID, we've all been like isolated and alone. So if you want that village, do the work and actually put yourself out there to connect with that village. And going back to the VA has that village. I know there's been a lot of pain in the past and a lot of scariness in the past, but they're creating that safe space. I think one of my best VA events was I went to the VA. It was for like a women's wellness day. We had massages, we did yoga, they gave some swag bags, and they actually gave us a tour of the VA hospital. And guess what? Those resources were available. Just imagine you could call the VA and book a massage. I never would have thought, but it actually is a service that's provided. Even acupuncture, for a while, they were offering like acupuncture, just some non-traditional treatments. And it's something I never thought that the VA offered. But going into that session, I learned so much. And I said, you know what, let me go ahead and book that massage. Now, it does take time. You know how that is, where you can't do something just same day. But at the same time, just knowing that that is available to you. And I can tell you, prescriptions, how much do you pay for prescriptions, like from your civilian provider? So just knowing the VA not only has free prescriptions, but they will mail your prescriptions to you at your house. So that's just a great benefit. So don't be afraid to reach out to the VA. I want to reiterate that. I want to reinforce that the VA is your community as well. And then also think about your family and friends. Remember that whole entire time that we were in the military, most of us made the military our family. Sometimes you got to go back to your roots and go back to your real family, right? Your hometown friends. So just think about, ways that you can connect. And like, I belong to a group on Facebook called DMV Does. Sometimes, like, especially if you're moving to a different location, think about Facebook groups that are not just military. Because, sometimes I think we isolate ourselves. You only want to be around military people. But guess what? There's other people that exist in the world too. And that may help you. That may help you to adjust to your new environment. It may help you to adjust to your new career. You might find fun stuff like brunch or museum meetups, or I like the axe room. Sometimes you want to let out some aggression, but you may find your tribe to be able to do that fun stuff. Another thing, of course, if you want to do the dating and all that other stuff, don't be afraid to go on the Tinder meets and Bumble and all that. And I want to say, I think Bumble actually has a option for you to make friends as well. So use the different apps and tools. Meetup is another good tool for a community. So Meetup, they have a Meetup for everything, whether you're anime or maybe you like music, like different festivals, or maybe you like to cook. Like, they might have a cooking community, or maybe you like a little wine. They got the wine tasting community. One that I loved was visiting the different departments, like the different embassies throughout DC. That was fun for me. So I met up with a group of people and we just went to the embassies. And these were strangers, but they became friends and ultimately family. One guy, he actually has a hiking group, right? So if you want to do hike, just imagine it's all Black folk. So that was intriguing to me because he actually is invested in healthy fitness type activities for us, by us. Hiking, I think they do like softball, volleyball, just having fun. So you can find a community for just about anything. And again, you don't have to sit isolated. So sometimes in the military, because it's so structured and they tell us what to do and how to do it, and you have those team building days, we forget there's a world outside of those walls And guess what? With the internet, everything is at your fingertips. And I love things like Meetup because you can, research and look at the different meetups and see just opportunities for anything you could think about, even if you just like to shop or brunch, because there's always the girls who like the brunch groups, but anything. Or I think a lot of times mothers, single mothers, or mothers that's not single, sometimes feel isolated. So finding that community of mothers, like the play dates, or maybe you have a pet, so you can have pet dates as well. So those type of things are opportunities for you to build your community. And then of course, I'm an entrepreneur. So I have all types of entrepreneur communities. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. So you have to do trial and error as well. But different activities that I've done, like Bunker Labs, like Project Opportunity, this gave me the opportunity to not only get funding, because we got awarded. I think my last award was $200, which was great because it allowed me to invest in my website for Elevate Women Veterans. But also, you get that network, you get the tools to be successful in entrepreneurship. So those type of communities are out there. All you have to do is Google is your best friend. And now we got a new tool called ChatGPT, which ChatGPT, you can actually type in, develop a transition plan for me, a 6-month transition plan for me from the military to civilian life. And ChatGPT will actually type out your whole entire life. So that's a new tool. Maybe I'll talk about that more later, but you can utilize these tools, use the internet, use all the resources that are around you to build your tribe, to build your community, to help you transition from that military to the civilian life. Now, going on the other side of family and friends, understand this is hard. Like when we transition from the military, it's hard. It's new. We're so used to the structure. It's going to be hard and new for you as well. So I think whether you're a child of the transitioning military member, the spouse of the transitioning military member, understand like it takes a village. So we serve together, right? Like the whole family serves. I don't just believe that one military member serves. It's the whole family. So now as you're transitioning out of the military, think about some of the needs that you may have or some of the fears that you may have. But most importantly, think about how you can support each other. So you're supporting that military member that's getting out, but also what type of support do you need? I think one thing we don't talk about a lot is spouses and dependents. Dependents include children, it could be parents or anybody that's in your household. They have the resources and the availability to use the military resources. So whether it's finding a job, the transition resources, building a franchise, building, becoming an entrepreneur, the spouses have access to those tools as well. And many of our programs like Bunker Labs, they didn't just cater to military, they actually opened the door to spouses as well. So I want spouses to know specifically that you're not alone. Like you don't have to just sit there and feel like you're isolated as well. We do have tools and resources. So when you're doing Google, because Google is my best friend, look up resources for military spouses or military veteran spouses, because we have scholarships, we have training, resume, and job assistance specifically for spouses, like Hiring Our Heroes. They actually have a portion and they do like different events and segments specific to military spouses. So please do your homework on that and take advantage of that, because the money is out there, the grants are out there, the opportunities. Also for your education, I believe some of the services have like My CAA, but also for the 9/11 bill, the service member can transition their benefits to their children and their spouses. So that's an option. But if you ask most colleges and universities and most of these schools and these certification programs, they may also have resources for military spouses and dependents. So think about that. Know that it's available to you because you can save money on your education, get discounts on certifications. It's out there. So a lot of times, I think sometimes the spouses and the children are forgotten about. We don't want to forget about you because you do matter, you are important. And then thinking about the support to the service member, a lot of times it's frustrating. So you may see like mood swings, you may see depression, a lot of anxiety. So that's something I want all of us to think about. Like, what type of support do you need? You're not on this island by yourself. So if you're stressed about the job, use the resources. Use the Family Support Center. Use LinkedIn. Use Twitter. Twitter is a great tool for networking and finding jobs, but use the resources. If you're feeling like, okay, maybe I need some counseling. That's one thing I did not get into tonight yet. For counseling, you can use the VA. You can call the different resources. I believe there's Military One Source for while you're in the military. The VA, if they can't help you, a lot of times they will provide you the different resources. And one great tip about the VA is if they're booked up to the end of the year and they can't help you in a timely fashion, they actually refer you to outside providers. So you can go to your civilian providers if they are not able to accommodate you at the VA. So I think that's a great benefit to us. And that can be mental health, that could be any type of physical or, medical issues that you have. That's a benefit to the VA. Now, as far as the spouses, the same thing. Look up like community healthcare, community mental health, anything that's affordable. And of course, as you're transitioning, when you think about your careers and your jobs and the benefits, you want some good benefits. So you may have your military benefits, like you might have TRICARE in the VA, but what type of benefits do you want? So like for me, I like my Blue Cross Blue Shield. I definitely want to be able to look and find mental health providers or my personal care physicians that are inside or outside networks. So that's the type of stuff like, well, how much is healthcare? What type of healthcare are you providing? If you're thinking about family planning, think about, does that company support that? Or even, I think one thing that showed up is maybe like the maternity or paternity care, or getting time off if you adopt a child or have a foster child, or if you're going through fertility treatments. That's something to consider and talk about. And one thing, speaking of the VA actually offers that service with the infertility and fertility care. So make sure like you research and understand like all the resources that are available to you. And even for children, because I think sometimes we forget that the children are there and they're going through this transition with us. Like look up like resources, whether it's for counseling, whether it's like different organizations, community centers. So community centers are like one of the most slept on type things. You can go to the community center, your local community center, and they may have stuff like the after school programs, the summer programs, anytime they're on a break from school. So like the springtime program, the winter break programs, the community centers offer that. And they also have like different activities for not just the children, but the family too. So they have exercise, like you can do the yoga and physical training. I know in Montgomery County, they actually have opened it up where it's free. Like if you want to join the gym, you can just go for free, all Montgomery County residents. So that's a free resource so you can work out, let off that aggression and that anxiety. But also for your children, like if they want to play musical instruments, if they want to do different sports, different arts and crafts, the community centers are a great resource and a great community as well. So that's another outlet because we're talking about like transitioning in the military, challenges and opportunities. So this is just the outlet. So looking at your community, looking at like that whole person, what is it that you need? So I want everybody after tonight, after listening, to this show segment, to think about where you are in your transition, whether you're preparing for transition, whether you're in the middle of transition, or maybe you're post transition and you're still trying to figure it out. And then go back and think about what are some of your goals for this transition. Is it to land a job in 90 days? Is it to land a job at a specific company in a specific time? Is it to earn a certain salary from a company? Is it to just transition peacefully, right? Within 6 months. Whatever it is that's your goal, think about what resources that you need in order to accomplish your specific goal for your transition. So being very specific, think about what you need on the personal side. What type of support do you need from your family, from your friends? Think about what you need on the medical side. What type of resources do you need? Do you need to book a counselor? Do you need a support group? Or maybe do you just need to do your physical? Like what type of medical goals do you have? Then also think about financial goals. So as you're transitioning, do you have money saved up? Do you have the means? Do you have the support? Are you pulling money alone from your thrift savings plan? Are you pulling out your thrift savings plan? What type of investments do you have? What type of savings do you have? Do you have enough where you can relax for 6 months? Or do you need to hurry up and go back to work because you don't have any savings or any money in your account? What other type of resources do you have, like unemployment? How long will that check last once you get out the military? Think about those type of things on the financial aspect and what type of resources you need, and then what are your goals financially. And then don't forget about the fitness, because I think a lot of times you get overwhelmed, you forget about just that fitness and wellness portion. So think about self-care, like what type of self-care do you need? Like maybe when you transition from the military, maybe you don't need to jump right back into a job. Maybe you need 6 months just to unwind and detox and clear your mind. So think about that in a self-care perspective. First of all, financially, do you have the means? Second of all, what type of self-care do you need so you can get through this journey? And then third of all, book it. Like whether it's a massage, whether it's those fitness classes, whatever it is, book it because you're worth it. Put you first. So that's really what this was about tonight. I hope these tips were helpful to you and helpful in your journey, and tips and resources. As we progress with Elevate Women Veterans, we'll be talking more about just our challenges, opportunities, what women veterans need during this time, because I think we got to meet each other at our point of need. We all have different needs. So I want to hear from you. So please make sure that you reach out to me, that you connect with me on social media at Elevate Women Veterans. And again, that you keep tuning in and listening. And I truly, truly appreciate your help. And I want every woman veteran out there to remember, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for support, and continue to seek that support from friends, family, and professional resources, to include your therapist and your career counselors. So thank you so much for listening to Elevate Women Veterans tonight. We will be here every other Monday at 7 p.m. And I truly, truly value, appreciate you, and look forward to to you walking with us on this journey.